Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Hussain Qadhi, your facilitator for Strategic Business Reporting Practice to Pass session, December 21. So can you people reply me about that? Is my voice clear to all of you? My voice, the screen visualization, all the things. Okay, candidates. Now, today is day 2 for Strategic Business Reporting Practice to Pass session. Today is day 2. Day 1, the session, what I personally think, that's really about something eye-opening session for you people. And based on yesterday's session, you people now have developed your mind about the right direction towards the success of SBR. And the key points based on the yesterday session is that the very first point is that by next 3 weeks, you have to prepare your SBR exam with the right direction. And the first thing about the right direction is be honest. Be honest. Moreover, under the umbrella of honesty, what you should do, a good enough knowledge of the entire syllabus. The entire syllabus consists of the 5 components: accounting standards, ethics, performance measurement, conceptual framework, and current development. So you have to develop a balanced strategy accordingly, according to the weightage I have discussed yesterday. Moreover, you have to simulate the SBR exam as max as possible with a CB format, without any fear that if you are going to attempt the question, that will be right or wrong, because your wrong conclusion will not affect about the passing or failure of your exam. So attempt the question accordingly. Furthermore, how examiner examine the things that we observed yesterday, including the examiner report. Yesterday's session, what I personally think, we observed the exam questions plus exam solutions plus examiner comments, and all these combinations, I hope that that's create a support for the right direction. And whatever the confusion you people have about related to examiner expectation or how to attempt the exam question, any fear about the exam question, that's now become overcome based on the yesterday's session. And what don'ts, that's already I've already discussed yesterday. The don'ts about the very one thing, the very important thing. The first thing is that don't ask with yourself or to anybody what are the important topics, because examiner examines the things in a very diversified manner, in a multi-dimension ways. So multiple accounting standard examined in different ways. Number 2, fearful. Don't be fair, huh? Don't be fair. Fearless working. That's very much important. And the very key point, quality. I strongly suggest you have a good enough knowledge of entire syllabus plus 9 past papers. That is good enough, more than good enough to qualify the exam. But attempt the exam paper with not that expectation that this is something about the projection, rather than practicing the thing to read the mindset. So now, candidates, we are going to start our session formally. Before starting the session, I strongly suggest and request to ACCA team to share the link of the WhatsApp group to the portal. Please share the link of WhatsApp. Share the link. Thank you very much. I will appreciate if you share one more time. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Moreover, I also suggest to the ACCA team that is it possible to share the day one link with this platform? I hope that with the ACCA Vimeo channel, the link already shared. Okay, don't worry. The video link of the yesterday session will be shared very soon during the session. Now, candidates, come on. Today is the practice session about two things. Number one, how to handle the question that includes the part of ethics. That includes the part of ethics. So, number one, the very important thing, examiner specifically mentioned that the section A, question number 2, it's about the discussion includes ethics. Do remember the 20 marks, it's not exclusively for the ethics. It's not exclusively for the ethics. Question number 2 includes the component of the ethics. And this question is actually the combination of two things. The combination of two things. One, most of the time, examiner examine accounting issues or something beyond accounting issue. I will discuss later. Plus ethical. Plus ethical issue. Plus ethical issue. Normally, the observation is that ethical issue that consists of 7 marks. So basically, today's agenda is about how to handle question number 2 includes 20 marks based on the past experience. How to handle this 20 marks. How examiner examine the question 2, that's 20 marks with accounting issue or beyond accounting issue plus ethical issue. That's the today's agenda. So very important thing that SBR pass exam analysis shows that ethical cases with accounting issues or examiner examine the ethical case beyond some accounting issues, beyond accounting issues. We will practice 2 questions today as a mind to develop the mindset. And after today's class, I strongly suggest total nine questions you have. 9 questions, 7 past papers and 2 specimen. After today's class, I strongly advise, based on today's suggestions, based on today's advices, You have to attempt the question, remaining 7 questions. I will discuss 2 past paper questions. After that, you have to attempt remaining 7 questions with the same pattern. May Allah willing, that will support to you people. Are you getting the point? Are you getting the point? Do reply me. Are you people with me? Okay. Another important point. Sometimes examiner also indulge some performance measurement aspect. Sometimes some performance measurement aspects. We will also consider this point. And sometimes incorporates some journal discussion. Like, like one time examiner examined the, the era of digitalization, means the current business environment is based on digitalization. So if something or sorry, considering the business environment, the transformation of the business into digitalization. So how this digitalization actually affect to the ethical issues or ethical matter when we are performing as a professional accountant. We don't have any past paper about this discussion, but examiner already examined the discussion about digitalization with respect to the professional accounting professional accounting responsibilities. Based on this, I strongly suggest examiner publish one article. I strongly suggest you must have to read this article. Suleiman Hamid, I'm not getting your point. What you are trying to say? What the dilemma? I'm not getting a point. Today's agenda is not about first question. We will discuss this point with the fourth and fifth day about the first question and how to handle the question number 1 and then move on. I strongly advise you to focus on the particular discussion, whatever the instructor right now discussing. Okay, I will discuss this point, your concern point. No worries about that. Mark my word, all of you. Question Section A, question 1 is the most easiest part of the complete SBR exam. What I said, whenever you enter in the examination hall, prepare your mindset. Prepare your mindset. The question number 1 of the 30 marks will be the most easiest part of the exam. About this, I will discuss the point day 4, day 5. Today is the day for the ethics. Tomorrow will be the day for the performance measurement. And next remaining days about the group and somewhere about the conceptual framework and the current development. So focus on that point. Okay. So this is what a basic intro about the scope of the SBR, scope of the SBR with respect to the ethics, how examiner examined. That is the point. Now come on. First, a basic mindset. Number 1, you must have to know about the term what is ethics. You people know very well that if as a professional accountant we are performing our responsibility, so we have to we must have to adhere we must have to consider the moral principles that about the about what is right or wrong. Not all the things is crystal clear in terms of legal matters. Something gray areas, something vague. So we have to consider that point with the moral principles. As an accountant, as a professional accountant, and the member of the ACCA, or even the affiliate ACCA or the student ACCA, must have to adhere about these ACCA rule book about the ethics standards. Number one, and this list you have been studying since a long time, not specifically to SBR. That is called integrity. Must have to focus about integrity, which means straightforward and be honest. Honest, objectivity. You must not act uh, with the biasness, no conflict of interest, or no not taking any pressure. That's called undue influence. You must you must have to develop your ability, knowledge, competency. That's called professional competent to adapt the new challenging environment. You must have to adhere about the confidentiality. Confidentiality is a very key point. Don't disclose any confidential information in front of client, in front of employer, in front of anyone, until unless unless there is legal or professional duties. Now it's about legal or professional duties, and the behavior must be professional behavior. Avoid any action that discredits the profession and your personality. Moreover, sometime you are facing some threats if you are involving any particular situation. For example, the threats about something related to self-interest. Some If you are involving with a scenario where you have a fear about the self-interest, you must have to very much conscious about that. Don't involve something about self-review. That's about the audit aspects. Advocacy, you are not advocate of the client. That's about familiarity is also the matter. If you are very much close with your clients or with your company, you are very much familiar. And intimidation, don't pressurize to any of your juniors. And if you are junior or accountant, someone pressurizing you, the seniors or the higher management, you must not be the part of that particular intimidation. Okay, these are the things. A quick overview. Now the very important point: how to deal, how to deal any ethical issue, ethical issue. How to deal with any ethical issue in the examination hall. If there are some particular ethical issue in front of you, either the ethical issue related to accounting or not related to accounting, either related to accounting or not related to accounting. Sorry. Yes, these steps you have to follow. These steps you have to follow. Number one, identify the relevant facts. Relevant facts means what's the issue about. The issue may be something accounting. For example, some of the accounting, it's wrongly done and reflecting wrongly in the financial statement. That's accounting facts. And this is what's very simple. That's about the accounting issue. Any accounting issue examiner can examine here. Number one. Or any other point, any other point, any other point. For example, um, the company the company having a plan to implement new software or new systems. but you have some concern. You as a director have some concern because you are thinking for something self-interest. So this is not the accounting issue, it's beyond the accounting issue. That's called others. So number one, whatever the ethical matter, the background with the background behind the ethical issue, you must have to identify. Means identify the facts. Number two, identify the relevant facts and then identify what ethical what ethical principles are compromising. Is that compromising something about objectivity, something about professional competence, like this, etc.? And is there something about threatens? Threatens here means, for example, director or some personality actually doing the work for self-interest, for example, or intimidating intimidating to the juniors to hide something. So the sequence is reverse: threatened by the management, compromising ethical principle, which having the background that belongs to facts. If you identified this issue, you have to choose different alternative actions. Different alternative actions. Candidates, do remember, with this ethical matter, examiner also add two professional marks. Two professional marks. Also add two professional marks. So we are also uh, we are also we also need to consider here how to get these two professional marks as well. So number one, if you answer your question in a logical sequence manner, as I discuss here, logical sequence manner, identify the facts, then ethical principle, search some threats here, and then suggest alternative actions. With these sequence, automatically this sequence reflecting the logical sequence called professional marks. Means you are not just writing the thing, but the writing in a sequence manner which will result the technical knowledge marks plus professional marks. So follow that sequence. That's important. So whatever I say to you now, it's time to apply a particular example. Let's suppose this is a particular example. This is a particular example. The example is to develop a mindset. A, a basic example. Please read this particular example. Read it once. You have 30 seconds to read it. By the way, you people already have handout for the day 2. Okay, now I'm going to read it. Do remember, this is a very basic example. Mash, a company named Mash, has a number of investment in the listed shares that are designated to be measured value through OCI. Okay. A new ACCA qualified accountant, that's you, has started job at Mash, has started work at Mash, and she discovered that the finance director measures the fair value of the instrument at present value of expected future dividend. That is IFRS 13. That is about IFRS 13. And IFRS 13, it's about fair value measurement, where IFRS 13 says use the fair value measurement by level 1 input. You remember that? Yes or no? Level 1 input. If not available, then use level 2 or 3. By the way, I will discuss the IFRS 13 later, but this is what about the very basic aspect. And if the observable input is available, don't use unobservable. And reply me, the present value of future cash flows calculation is observable or unobservable? Do reply me. All of you must have to reply me. Unobservable, unobservable. Okay. So you as an accountant identify the company using unobservable input. Even though, okay, even though observable is available, this calculation gives higher fair value. Okay. So you have to think in two dimensions. Number one, wrong application of accounting standards, simultaneously some ethical matter in two dimensions. Give higher value figure than the quoted share price based on observable input. The finance director has justified this fair value measurement to accountant on the grounds that Match does not trade shares in short term, so quoted share price understate the value Match will realize over the lifetime of the investment. Finance director actually justified in a wrong manner. You know that. You know that. Now, if you are sitting in the examination hall, you have to relax your mind. If if in the examination question, listen carefully. If with the exam question, examiner exam this one, ethical case with accounting issue, if deal with this point, so relax, relax. Number one, I am discussing this point. If examiner examine the ethics case with accounting issue, first of all, you have to deal with the accounting issue. This is accounting issue. Deal with accounting issue. Then deal with ethical issue. Make separate two headings. Separate heading of ethical issue, separate heading of accounting issue. Make two different headings. Make it clear. Although you have to develop your mindset in 2 dimension. But when you are attempting the question, make a heading, make a heading, accounting implications. Number one, make a heading. This one, answer. The first thing is identify the relevant facts. Number 2 and 3, ACCA Code of Conducts of Ethics, that is about rule, about ethics and threats. Number 4, line of action. And do remember, you eh, do remember that about about whom personality examiner is asking about. For example, in this case, the requirement is with respect to accountant. For ethical issue, we will discuss here. For ethical issue, here the personality to answer for accountant. Okay. Moreover, moreover, before before entering into the answer, I wanted to discuss one very important thing with you. Students, you can pre-work before the exam some standard points for ethics. What I said to you, that if your examiner asking the ethics with accounting issues, some standard points or key takeaways you can learn, you can pre-work before the exam. For example, you can start your discussion in this way. Means you are going to start what to write. So you can write with 3 to 4 paragraphs. Read it once. Whenever you need to start the ethics question with the implications of accounting issues, with the implication of accounting issue, you just copy paste these paragraphs. This is what startup. This is what startup. What startup? Financial statement important to range of user such as shareholder, banks, employees. These stakeholder requires financial statement to faithfully represent the performance and position of the company so they can take adequate investment decision. For this, the accountant should comply with fundamental ethics set by ACCA, that is integrity, objectivity. You can hold your answer till now, not specifically mention all the matter. Then by the following the code of ethics, it is more likely to faithful representation of the company will be offered because need of the user will be prioritized. This third paragraph is actually linking 1 and 2, linking above 2 points. Sir, why you are pressurizing us to write in this structure way? Because this question also includes 2 professional marks. If you write in this manner, in the sequence manner, with this is, you will get easily the professional marks. Third paragraph, the accountant should be mindful any threats of the fundamental. In doing so, accountant considered the facts, ethical issues involved, and the fundamental principles are threatened. Where internal procedure exists will mitigate the threats and what alternative action can be taken. Means whatever I have said to you here, just write down in a paragraph. So first paragraph about what? First paragraph. Why financial statement is important. Number two, what's the role of accountant? Role of accountant is to adhere the ethical principle. Then linking above two. If you obey the ACCA rule books, then you will be able to get the uh, faithful representation of the accountancy. Then third paragraph. If some issues arise, some threats arise, you have to resolve in a manner. Identify the facts, considering the ethical issues, and take the appropriate action. Appropriate actions. Don't worry, Abdul Moin. Don't worry about that. You can squeeze these matter. Squeeze. For example, you can delete this. You can write the answer in this manner. Financial statements are important to the stakeholders. Who requires the financial statement to faithful. You can squeeze the answer in this manner. Don't worry. Depends on the matter. So this one accordingly. So it's all about that. You can, I'm giving you the idea. Then you can squeeze accordingly. Are you getting the point? Everyone here. Are you with me? All of you, please apply. Okay. Moreover, I strongly suggest if the ethics matter with the accounting implication, you have to conclusion paragraph with these type of statements. Number one, start with this point, then put the things accordingly and conclude with this paragraph. Like accountant must not therefore comply with the management instruction. Here the case director instructions. The accountant should remind the director of their obligation to comply with code of conduct. Should the accountant feel unable to approach directly, they could consider talking with the charge of governance, non-executives to explain the situation. An accountant could seek the help of ACCA helpline, legal advice. Ultimate, if the situation cannot resolve, accountant could consider resigning the self-employment wherever. So conclusion paragraph having 5 points. Must not obey, discuss or remind about ethics. Number two, can contact with upper management. Number three, or with the ethical help ACCA helpline. Number four, number five, resign. I'm not saying you have to write all 5 points. Whatever the relevant points, you have to put it. I know, but this is what the sequence of the answer you have to put. Number one, introduce in this manner. Then the body of the answer. Then body of the answer. main body of the answer. That is main body of the answer. That is accounting implications plus ethical, and then conclude with this matter. But do remember that this standard conclusion paragraph only relevant for the ethical issues between accountant and the management. Or I must say, these paragraphs, sorry, this standard conclusion between accountant and the management may be possible sometime. There is no matter about the conflict of us. There is no matter about accountant and management. There is only one personality, that's the finance director. Then you cannot put the paragraph in this manner. And also don't forget ethical issues with accounting matter and beyond accounting matter. Now, right now, make it simple. Make it simple. Number one, the first thing is identify the relevant fact. Whatever the case we discuss above, whatever the case we discuss above. Number one, accounting, identify the relevant fact. This is the accounting. Mesh is using estimation technique to measure fair value by IFRS 13. Straight. This is unobservable and according to IFRS 13, level 3 input. Mesh intention to hold asset is not relevant. IFRS 13 states that fair value is market-based assessment, not an entity specific. This is IFRS 13. That's no wish about the entity, but consider the market-based measurement. Market-based measurement rather than entity specific. So it should be measure fair value using the quoted share price. This is level 1 input, which IFRS 13 prioritizes. This is what about the accounting matter. Very simple accounting issue. First, have to handle the accounting issue and just get the marks. Park your marks initially accounting, then cover up the ethics, then cover up about the ethics. First accounting, then ethics. Basic. This one is a basic paragraph. Whatever we discuss above, the basic paragraph. This is the basic paragraph. Number one, first para, why financial statement is important for a stakeholder. How to make, must have to comply with the ACCA rule book, rule of conducts. Okay. Same paragraphs, same. Then you incorporate the ethical matter. This one. If the sole purpose using the level 3 input is to increase the carrying value of the investment, that is called self-interest. And this is what about the threat. Don't mention the word threat here only for the sake of your people understanding. If it's about the sole purpose of if it's deliberate mistake, it's indicate for self-interest. Then the principle of integrity is compromised. Threats towards the principle. And if it's not the deliberate action. So another important point, that is about the professional competence. These 2 points. Another, stakeholder become increasingly reactive to that ethical stance. Deliberate falsification in financial statement harms the reputation and also harm the reputation of the accountancy profession as well. So number one, this is what two things we did: accounting matter and ethical. Now the action point, the paragraph or the action point. Here, simply incorporate the action point. You can squeeze that, no issue at all. But make it, the important point is that I have shared you the complete aspect. I have given you the direction. Now it's your turn to apply these advices to the questions, and considering the time management and the marks management. Is this the responsibility to your people, to you people? Yes or no? Do reply me, all of you. Now it's time for exam question. Come on, exam time. I mean exam question time. Ethics particularly. Now we will consider the marking scheme and the time management all with this particular question. We will we will discuss today. We will discuss two questions. We will discuss two questions. One December 18 question, another March 21 question. March June 21 question. You people already have handout of this question. Already have handout of this question. Please read the question once. Please read the question once. I'm giving you 2 minutes. Read the question once. Don't worry, students. We will discuss all the aspects: marking scheme, time management, all the aspects. Till now, the 40, till now the 40 minutes. What we have done, we have developed a mindset how to handle the question number two. That is what the basic instruction. Now, based on this instruction, we are going to enter to attempt the question accordingly. Where all the advices, I'm going to implement all my advices, whatever I've discussed till now. So, are you ready for this? Can you please reply me? You must be energetic, be motivated, be energetic. Yes, that's good. You must be motivated. Inshallah, may Allah, God willing, you will qualify the exam. But the condition is that honesty, hard working, based on the direction, based on the right directions. Honesty, hard working, based on the and with the right directions. And don't forget the prayers of the parents. Without the prayers of the parents, it's not possible to success. It's not about the success of the life. So hard work, honest, hard work. Sorry, the number one, the prayers of the parents, hard work plus honesty. That's called the success, inshallah. Okay, now start. You have 2 minutes to read this question and plan it accordingly. 2 minutes. Now start. I suggest read the question once. Okay, the question is about, first, always start the question with the requirement. Discuss how Hallam property, should have been accounted for. Number one. And this and is very much important. And because and word split the requirement into component. Explain the implication of the financial statement and debt covenant of the Ficuston. So actually, this 7 marks includes 3 components. 7 marks includes 3 components. How to account for? That's IFRS. What's the implication? Financial statement is something about uh, financial statement extract. And last one, debt covenant. I've already told you that sometimes examiner examine some performance measure aspects with ethics. So do remember, read the requirement very carefully, because reading of the requirement is also an art for the clearest understanding what examiner examined here, what examiner asked. Do remember, whatever examiner examined, you have to reply the question accordingly. If I am a student, by part A, I have to make 3 headings: Hallam property, financial statement implications, debt covenant. This understanding of the answer must be clear. Answer must be clear. Automatically, your exam will be clear. So clarity of the understanding is the prime rule. Number two, in accordance with the IFRS 15, discuss whether revenue arising of sales contracts should be recognized on a stage of completion basis. Examiner examines the IFRS 15 only about whether revenue should be recognized on a stage of completion or at one point of time. You know that what I'm saying. Moreover, explain any ethical issue which may arise for managing director and accountant from each of the scenario. That is 7 marks. So here 7 marks about ethical issues. Is that clear, everyone? Can you please reply me? Hello. No, you are wrong. The requirement is not clear till now. Until unless I have to highlight ethical issues with respect to managing director and the accountant. Two separate issues. Ethical issues, number one, generic one, then managing director and the accountant. That's now complete. That's now, I must say that it's clear about ethical issue. I'm using the different handout. And before the starting of the session, the ACCA management already shared the document that's called SBR Ethics, Day 2. The document name SBR Ethics P2P. Okay. Now it's time to read the extra major issue. The following is an extract from the statement of financial position of Fickerston, a public limited entity, 30th September exit. Non-current asset, current asset, equity share capital, component equity, retained earning, non-current liability. I have highlighted these red ones because examiner use in the requirement the word covenants, debt covenants. So I have to work out we need to work out for some gearing ratio. The bank loan has a covenant attached whereby it will become immediately payable should be the gearing ratio long-term debt over equity of Fickerson exceed 50%. So what's the covenant about? Covenant about the debt ratio over equity must not be more than 50%. If and Fickerson has a negative cash balance 30th September X8. Okay, alarming. What do you say that? Any of you do reply me, what's the situation of gearing ratio now? Gearing ratio now. Debt 50,000 divided by equity. What are the value of the equity? 10,000 plus share capital equity 20,151 plus 70,253. So what's the answer? What's the answer? That is 49.7%. And it's under 50%. So this is what about the gearing ratio now. Okay. Now this is the point. Hallam property included within the non-current asset. So you are going to read the main part of the question, and you have identified, you have already with the question 2 of the paper, that section A question 2. So need to, your mind will work out in the manner the accounting matter and ethical matter. The accounting matter and the ethical matter. Included within the non-current asset, Fickerston is a property in Hallam, which has been leased. Hallam is a place which has been leased to Edingley under 40-year lease term. The property was acquired 20 million 1st October 7 and immediately leased to Edingley. Property was acquired 20 million 1st October 7 and immediately leased to Edingley. The asset was expected useful life 40 years at the date of acquisition and have a minimal residual value. Fickerston classified building as investment property and adopted fair value model. Fair value model. Fair value model. Fair value model. A very good question from Ami Patel. Sir, if we are reading the question with the CB format like this, if we are reading the question with the CB format like this, and for example, we are reading the question. So where to write? I strongly suggest you can use with the scratch card. You can use your scratch card. Like here, you're working and mentioning that, or or if it's not very much relevant and you are performing your exam in the exam center, then the examiner will allow you a piece of paper with a pen. You can write it accordingly. And if it's about the remote access, home-based invigilations, it depends your region. Will they allow, the proctor will allow you the piece of paper with the pen or not? If not, use the scratch pad. It's a good question, Ami. Really appreciate. Oh, is that clear, all of you? Otherwise, all the relevant calculations you have to put with the either with the word or the spreadsheet. The relevant calculation. I will discuss more than. First, right now focus. Fickerson has classified the building as an investment property. What you will say, is this right to use the fair value model? Oh, sorry. Is this right way to use the investment property? Yes or no? No, why not? And what should be? Why not and what should be? If a company purchase a non-current asset, then immediately lease to another party. Sorry, not they haven't used the word lease. Yes, immediately lease to lessee. Another party means here lessee. So number one, the party who hand over the lease who hand over the asset to another, that means the party become lessor, and the lessor must refer IFRS 16. And IFRS 16 says that lessor have to identify at the inception of the lease that either the operating lease or finance lease. Operating lease or finance lease. Lux, you use the wrong word sublease, because here Fickerson was acquired. Here the word used was acquired. Acquired means they purchased. So we cannot use the word sublease. So rectify your word. Lux, is that clear? Life is 40 years. Life is 40 years and lease time 40 years. That means it's declared finance lease. Whenever you are reading the question, your mind must develop, or you must have to chat with your mind in this manner. Chat with your mind in this manner. Finance lease. And if it's finance lease, the reporting must be lease receivable. With the transaction, lease receivable debit and credit. of the asset, of the non-current asset, and the value at fair value at transaction date. But what but what they have done, but what they have done, they have reported as investment property. They declared debit investment property, credit non-current asset, and working with rental incomes. But if it's about the lease receivable, that is called finance income. And do remember that we will report as lease receivable, but the counterparty will report as right of use asset. Right of use asset. That is the key point. So we will discuss the answer accordingly. But moreover, the property was initially revalued 22 million, 31st March exit. Interim financial statement indicated that gearing 51 million to this revaluation. Okay. The managing director was made aware of breach of contract and so instructed the property should be revalued. What is this about? Number one, they were first thing was they did wrong the classification of the wrong wrong classification. Number two, they overvalued the asset, means asset debit, P&L credit, retained earning credit. No, don't consider ethical first. First, consider the accounting. So if we adjust the matter, the very first thing is that to reclassify investment property to lease receivable, but also adjust the value because the property is now carried out at 28 million, which was the determined the sale of similar size property 30th September exit. The property was located in much more prosperous area and built with the high grade material. An independent professional valuer estimated that the value no more than 22 million. The managing director has argued that fair value should be referenced to an active market and refusing the adjusted financial statement, even though he knows it's contrary to the international accounting standard. So, two things here. Before reclassification means correction, two correction. Number one, fair value reduction by how much amount? From 28 to 22. From 28 to 22. That is 8 million. Where debit, P&L, retained earning, equity, and credit asset, investment property. sorry, with the value of 6. If this 6 happens, if this 6 happens, if this 6 happens, that means your equity value now become reduced. Equity reduce. That means gearing ratio will increase. Gearing ratio will increase. And that's affect to covenant. That is a point. All these matters. So this case includes the IS 40 matter. This case in IS 40 and IFRS 16 matter. This case includes fair value adjustment matter. This case includes covenant matter. This case includes ethical issue. But do remember, ethical issue having separate matter to discuss. First, accounting implications. Another one, sale contract. But wait, wait. This is 7 marks. If we discuss the point, first have to plan. First have to plan. There are 3 issues here. Number one, accounting issues is equal to number one, Hallam property. Another one, sales contract, SC sales contract. 2 issues. Then ethics is equal to ethical issue plus professional marks. Ethical issues include 7 professional marks to deal with the ethics equals to 9 marks. We will reduce till 20 adjustment by 6, my dear. Oh, sorry, Misbah. 22 to 20, 28 to 22, that means adjustment by 6. Is that clear? Okay, this is what initial plan. Now, come on. Number one, make heading accounting implication. Make heading. Put the heading. That's name accounting implication. Make heading accounting implication. Number one, plan before attack. You have to develop your mind. Total time 7 minutes. 1.8 each. That means 12 minutes. So planning time, planning time 4 minutes. Execution time 8 minutes. Number 2, marks management. Marks management. Total allocated marks 7. 7 marks. First of all, the issues you have to write IS 40. Issues you have to write IFRS 16. Issues you have to write covenants and also consent going concern. Number 1, you have to write the correct accounting treatment of the lease. That is 3 marks. So I cannot say 3 well explained point. I cannot say 3 well explained point. Rather than you have to develop, you have to make an answer with the completeness here. Can we say that with 3 marks you have to write 1 point, 2 points, rather than the right word is the completeness? Reply me. Are you hearing me? What I said that it is about the completeness matter rather than 1 2 points. Do remember? Reply me? That's good. Moreover, implication of the financial statement. Implication means you have to write first. That is not IFRS 40, it's IFRS 16. Implications means you correction. Implications here, correction. Then implication of covenants, 2 marks. That is the answer. Make heading. If examiner examine 3 points here, I will make 3 headings. If accounting implication, haram property, number one accounting treatment. You please read it. You please read it. It's very simple. It's very simple. Property should not have been classified investment property because it's a finance lease. And at the least equal to the useful life residual value deemed to be minimal. If I'm a student at the examination hall, I will not write this one. Ideally should record the right of use asset. No marks. It's exam solution. But I should not write. In a model answer, it's mentioned headingly. But it's not the point of headingly. I will not the thing. Then Fickerson should instead record lease receivable and net investment. The property needs to remove from investment property and the fair value gain 8 million must reverse. And all the things. What I said to you earlier, what examiner expecting? Examiner expecting you have an ability to explain your answer. Here the explanation required. That's the key point. Ask yourself, if you have been studying SBR since last 2 months, ask yourself, have you balanced your study between calculation and theory? Ask yourself, do not reply me. Do not reply me. Ask yourself. If inner answer is that no, now you have good enough time, next 3 weeks, to follow this instruction. You have enough time. ACCA was planning to start, actually planning to start the P2P of SBR. Originally planned was 22nd. I said to them, no, you must have to start earlier this P2P because if I'm going to conduct by 22nd, then you people don't have enough time after the P2P to implement these plans. I requested them and they implemented 1 week earlier and then delay 1 week for AFM. I will conduct AFM as well by next week. So apply these rules with the past papers. Good enough knowledge of the syllabus, then apply these rules. This is the right strategy. Then gearing ratio. Same. Recalculate. Right now is the 49.8%. Now you have to revise. Revise in what manner? If you have to reverse the gain, the retained earning will be debited by this amount. Okay. The amount we have put The value in the wrong way. Sorry. Okay. That was 20 million. That was not 22. Initially revalued 22, now 28. So adjustment must be made by 8. This one. You must not be confused. That is 8. Is there any confusion? Do reply me. Actually, the value 20, initially revalued 22, then 28. So here the value now 28. And it should be 20 million. Originally, that was wrong. Okay. So that is the value minus adjustment of 8 million, and the gearing would now subsequently 54.1%. Oh, that is the breaching of the gearing ratios. Breaching. You can read this paragraph by your own. So that is the heading of covenant. After correcting error, Ferguson would breach the dividends covenant. These have a negative. They, moreover, moreover, negative cash balance. So first thing, debt covenant crossed, having no cash balance. That will impact to the going concern as well. And if it's challenge the going concern, so your balance sheet, financial statement must be made with breakup basis. That is the point. I know that some of you people are thinking that, sir, about this going concern, even we are reading the question, it's not clicking in our mind. Don't worry about that. Human being, it's always about to learn something. We never, we always here to learn something. You have learned it. Now in the examination hall, that's another point you have determined, that something about concern matter and effect to the going concern, we will write it accordingly. Candidates, please do reply me. Is that clear, all of you? What I have told to you, what I have suggested to you about how to handle the thing. Now it's time to discuss the another case of IFRS 15. Then we will work out with the ethics matter. But before moving towards the next case and the ethics, you have to take a 5-minute short break. Take a 7 minutes break, don't worry. But after the break, I need a very energetic behavior from your side, because next portion of day 2, it's another critical. This is what about the simple structure question, but I will discuss also some unstructured question of the ethics. So take a 7 minutes break. I will be back after the 7 minutes. Thank you. Okay, class, come on. Can you please reply me? Okay, another accounting issue. Another accounting issue for the IFRS 5, IFRS 15, whether revenue from the sales should be recognized on a stage of completion. Means either revenue recognized over the period of contract, that's called the deferred income recognition over the period, or one point of sale. Examiner examine IFRS 15 in a different context, and this point very regular examine, very regular examine. Okay, now Fickerston has entered into sale contract for the construction of an asset with a customer, whereby customer pay initial deposit. Sales contract, and we receive the initial deposit. The deposit is refundable. The deposit is refundable only if Fickerson fails to complete the construction. Fails to complete the construction of the asset. The remainder. So number one, for example, you are a seller and you are reporting a structure here. I have given you deposit, but if you fail to complete on time, I will ask you, or I will demand to repay the deposits, and the contract will be void. But if you pay on time, if you deliver on time, then the remaining payable on the delivery of the asset. Means if deliver on time, then I will pay you. Moreover, if customer defaults on a contract prior to completion, so this is one side of the picture. But what if, sir, if I default, customer default prior to the completion, the customer has a right to retain deposit. Huh? Only right to retain deposit, but not to take up the asset. Not to take up the asset. So it means Fickerson, it's nowhere safe anywhere. Fickerson, if you are Fickerson, you are seller, your deposits is not safe. Your completion of work, in fact, it's not safe. The managing director believes that completion assets perform over time, revenue should be recognized accordingly. Yes. Is this right? He has persuaded accountant to include deposit and percentage of remaining balance of construction work in revenue today. So first of all, we have to consider that point. Is it possible to recognize the revenue over the period of time, and at the current year end, whatever the work we have done, we need to recognize revenue? Is there possible? Not at all. Not at all. It's not possible here. It's not possible here. Because Fickerson here is a weaker party as a seller with two issues. Deposits may be refundable if it's not up to the deliver up to the time. Number two, in case the default of the buyer, only the figure that can retain by the Fickerson, that is the deposit. But the very important thing, what IFRS 15 says, IFRS 15 says, this is important. Performance obligation satisfied over time and recognize over time if only foreign criteria meets. This is this is what you have to refer your original studies. If these conditions meet, any of one condition meets, if these condition meets, then revenue over time. Otherwise, any of the condition, revenue will recognize one point of time. So you can write it accordingly. I'm not discussing in very detailed manner, but here a quick. If the contract like that, you deliver the services and simultaneously buyer receives and consumes. For example, for example, simultaneously receive and consumes means, for example, if you deliver the maintenance contract. So if you perform the maintenance contract, the buyer receive and consume simultaneously, then you can recognize over time. Another point, if you deliver any service, if you deliver any service that enhance the assets of enhance an asset that customer controls. For example, I have a land and I contacted to you that you are a builder, construct an office, construct an house with my territory. So you have deputed machine and start working. As the times goes on, asset constructed means enhance the asset. And I am getting control. I'm taking the control. So if seller sell deliver the service in a manner that assets create and handed over time by time to the customer, that's satisfied over the time. And last one, a tricky point. If the seller create an asset that do not have create asset that do not have any alternative use, any alternative use means you are constructing a building or machine, but that building, it's it's no alternative use for the seller or buyer, but the seller have a right to get the payment at any cost at the end of the day, at any cost at the end of the day. These are three possible conditions. In this scenario, not any of the condition meeting, we are not meeting any of the condition here. This is not the services like that where simultaneously receive and consumes. This is not the type of asset where you simultaneously deliver and the customer getting control. This is not the type of asset where you can control at the end of the day, means seller control at the end of the day. So that means these principle not meets according to IFRS. It's not possible to declare over the period, but rather than one point of time. Candidates, do remember that examiner not asked with B part anything about debt covenant. Do remember, Glory asked that any one condition means any one conditions. I will hand over to this particular page to you people. Any one condition, any one condition, or any one condition meets. That's called over the period of time. Okay. So in this B part, read carefully. Only examiner ask revenue when to recognize. That's all. No numbers, no correction of errors, no debt covenants matter. Yes, impact on the ethical issue as well. So number one, sales contract. Time management. You have 4 marks here. 4 marks. Only 4 marks. 7 minutes. 2 minutes for planning, 5 minutes for writing. Reading, planning, 2 minutes. Marks management, 4. Only the point performance satisfied over the period at one time. That's 3 marks. And then conclusion. If one point of time, make an answer and declared how to recognize revenue. Can you please reply me? Is that clear, all of you? Squeeze your answer. For 4 marks, we cannot write anyone in a very detailed manner. First line, at the inception of contract, the company Fickerson must determine whether it's promised a contract as a performance obligation over the time or first time. This first line is important. At initial, at the inception of the contract, you need to determine. Now, how to determine? Fickerson only write during the production of asset over the initial deposit paid. They have not enforceable right to the remaining balance on construction take place. Therefore, they will not be able to receive payment for that date. And additionally, Fickerson has to repay deposit should they fail to complete construction as in accordance with the contract. Candidates, the important point is that out of these 3 points, by default, simultaneously receive a consumer, it's not relevant here. Enhance asset that controls customer contract is not relevant here. So no need to discuss here because here only 4 marks. If you are writing all these 3, that's all 3 conditions are not meeting, that's that that means you are writing the points which is not relevant. That writing the point which is not relevant. Only pick this point. Only pick this point. And this is what about this aspect. That's receive the initial deposit. There is no alternative use. But at the end of the day, we don't have any right to take up the to get the complete payments in the case of the default. So that's why this is a single performance obligation. You can ask me, sir, it's a very detailed, only 4 marks. But the answer is not complete here. It's not complete. 1 mark more. If it's single performance, then mention that how to recognize. Revenue should not recognize stage of completion, but must be deferred and recognized at a point. That is on delivery of asset to the customer. Having marks. Normally people ignore this point. You just write with this point. Okay, done. So that means you ignore that particular point. Complete your answer. Candidates, you please, all of you must have to reply me. Are you hearing my voice? And is this session valuable for you? Make a constructive remarks right now. That is the point. We are not the session name. It's practice to pass. Practice to pass means practice with the right direction. Practice with the right direction. That's the key point. Okay. Now here the point of matter ethics. But the very important point about the ethics, what the issue of ethics we are discussing here. We are here the discussion about the ethical matter with accounting implications, not beyond accounting. Not beyond accounting. not beyond accounting. The point is that ethical issue, same manner, whatever I've discussed with you. Number one, the first thing, the first thing I strongly suggest the model answer don't have the introduction point. Direct start. It is concerning that property has been incorrectly classified as investment property. No, I must say that is not the point. I strongly suggest you have to write something with the introduction. Make introduction. Some part related to this. The ethics having total 7 plus 2 marks, 9 marks. So I strongly suggest you have to write this paragraph. Although in the squeeze manner, no worry about it, but have to write. I personally suggest number one, I will make a heading that is called ethical issue. And then write these things. Whenever ethical case with accounting matter, I have to write something about it. These four matters. These four matter. That's the very important point. And after that, the point it is concerning that property has been incorrectly classified investment property. Then there are two aspects. There are two aspects here. That's accountant point of view and director point of view. Then incorporate main body. Accountant have an ethical duty to professionally competent. Number one. And act with due care and attention. So two things you need to introduce. ACCA, code of uh, code of ethics matter, the rule book, and something about threats. It is fundamental that financial statement comply with accounting standard principle that underpin. This may be genuine mistake, but even so would not one expected professionally qualified accountant. So that is the point about not be expected with professional qualified accountant. That's important. Financial statement must comply with fair presentation. Okay, you can adjust the answer accordingly. Because something you have already read about the financial statement, that is, you have already mentioned what about what the ingredients of the financial statement are like this. Accountant, you must that. Managing director. The managing director appears happy to manipulate financial statement. Now, self-interest arise over debt component. It is likely that you have to identify the issue. This is issue. Managing director concerned about job security. Should the bank recall the debt and deem friction no longer to going concern? And you have to mention the revaluation aspect and all the things, including sales contract. Means discuss all the accounting aspect here, including this one. All the matters, intimidation threats, objectivity, all these matters. Now, final point, the action. The accountant must not influence by the behavior of managing director, whatever the paragraph you studied earlier, and should produce financial statement transparent, free from bias. Instead, managing director should remind ethical responsibility. Accountant may need to consider professional advice should the managing director refuse to correct the financial statement. You can add more, like coordinate with the ACCA helpline. Moreover, resignation, all these things. But according to the time management, introduce with introduction matter, then accounting, introduce with ethical introduction, then identify the issues, accounting issues, and integrate with the ethical principles and threats, and then took the answer actions. That is the point. If you start with the introduction, then develop the case of the ethics and conclude with action, you will be able to get the 9 marks. Intro plus action is equal to 2 marks of professional. Then main body of ethics, that is ACCA rule of ethics issues plus threats is equal to 7 marks, and then is equal to total 9 marks. That is how you will perform the answer. Candidates, can you please suggest, can you please reply me? Is that clear? All of you? Is that clear? I'm not reading all the things about integrity or all these things. You can read it accordingly or all the matter. These are very simple. This is what about the directions. This is what about the direction. Now, this is the one way we discussed today about the issue. This is the one way. Another way, the another important point, ethical case beyond the accounting errors. Ethical case beyond yes, this is March 21 question. This is what about the question of the March 21 question. March 21 question. March 21 question. You people already have the handout. Actually, this is the question that we were discussing yesterday. This question. Bismuth. And for that question, we have already covered the A part, B part. Now it's a matter of the C part. It's a matter of the C part. Can you please read the background right now? Read this background mentioning on the screen quickly. Read that particular background quickly. Bismuth is a mining company. Investor Bismuth received earning for mining and return investment. year end 31st December. Exhibits impairment, that's we have done with the decommissioning provision. Class A, B shares with the Bitcoin we have done. Now the point is about blockchain technology. Provides information about ethical issues, created implementation blockchain technology. Do remember that Bitcoin, blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies, examiners not very much concerned or not expecting that you people have a detailed technical knowledge about blockchain. Blockchain technology, it's the advanced methodology about the storage of the data and retrieving the information accordingly. That is the advanced methodology, and analyzing the data with artificial intelligence and like this, especially for example the medical records, how to, for example, uh, the hospitals, they are maintaining the data, millions data of the patients, how to retrieve the data, how to analyze the data. That is one of the technologies you call blockchain. Moreover, other than hospital, for example, you are use Uber, the service Uber, taxi services. Daily, uh, they declared in 2019-20 that 1400 bookings per minute all over the world. 1400 bookings per minute all over the world. So how much data, can you imagine how much data they are maintaining? It's a huge data, and that data analyzation is another important point. What about the Facebook? What about the Google? How much data uploading daily basis on the Google? So blockchain technology is actually the technology for the to to develop how to save the data, then retrieve according to the systematic manner and the analysis matter as well. Moreover, with respect to the blockchain technology, uh, definitely these huge organizations using the blockchain technology. So inputting the data means where they are purchasing the material, where they are arranging the labor, the data of material, data of labor, data of overheads, a lot of things, expenses, revenue, all these matters. But the point is that a different question. For example, uh, if you purchase a coffee sachet, and at the eh, at the coffee sachet or coffee a jar of coffee, where it's mentioned that cocoa beans, coffee beans, cocoa, sugar. So you actually rely them that that particular brands, and in this jar, the quantity or quality they mention, that's a part of that point. That's a part of the product. You trust them. So the point is that are these companies, for example, Nescafe or any coffee shop who provides the services to the consumer of the coffees, whatever they mention, exactly they are performing in the same way, exactly the material using same way, exactly the labor using the same way. So whenever we put the data, that is the concern point of the ethics. That's called ethical data, ethical material. Okay, now it's time to read the question. The requirement. First, the requirement. Discuss ethical issue related raised by implementation of blockchain technology for both chief accountant and finance director, including any appropriate action you should consider to resolve it. So number one, ethical issue about implementation of blockchain technology for chief accountant and finance director both, and appropriate actions. The very first thing is that this particular examiner 2 or 3 times examined the ethics in this way. That's no relation with above accounting, no relationship with A and B, no relationship. Out of nine exams, almost 6 to 7 exams in a manner, 2 or 3 accounting issues, and then the ethical consideration. But examiners sometimes examine in a very different way. Ethical matter beyond the accounting obligations. So this is what the point of practice we need to consider here. So do remember that it's not compulsory that any gas will work for the next semester. No way. I'm not here to discuss anything about the gas. If so, what I personally think, my lectures will support you to create right direction towards the success, rather than to create some uh, gambling about what exactly standard and exactly matter will come or not. This is the wrong way of the preparation stage. Okay, now the question that is about the blockchain. Can you please read it? Read it. I'm giving you 5 minutes. Read it, plan it accordingly. You have 2 to 3 minutes to plan this. Please make it plan. It's better. It's very important that you have to plan the question accordingly, that what you will write. Then I will perform the things accordingly. Okay, come on. Hello, hello, hello. Are you with me? Can you please reply? So any suggestion from your side what to do? Any one or two statement from your side? Can you please apply? Be participative. That's very important. That's important. You have to reply me. Okay. So this is what the different, now. This is what the different point. Sir, what we will write accordingly. This is what examiner deliberately planted the thing. So you are shocked at that time how to handle the case with ethics. And even I have to get some professional marks as well. Because here, examiner mentioned, here the professional marks. Professional marks will be awarded too. So total 10 marks here. 10 marks. That's a key point. The logical sequence of the answer. And do remember that this case is very much vague. It's not very specific. Do you agree that? Oh, please be participative. Even you people are watching the video, no matter it is. But do remember that if you are going to implement this, you are going to write this particular case, you have to develop in a systematic way of the answer. Number one, logical and fearless writing with respect to the conclusion. Now, come on. Bismuth company is a mining company. Investor Bismuth receiving earning from mining project. Okay, it's a background. The case. Come on with the case. Bismuth company plans to implement blockchain technology to store all data relating to mines, trading, and to certify ethical source of raw material. Okay, that is they are planning, huh? So question is not nothing about the discussion related to blockchain technology. Sometimes student replied, sir, examine the blockchain technology. Oh, for God's sake, Bitcoin, blockchain, it's not our course. The chief accountant, Miss Pleasant, Miss Pleasant, is currently developing blockchain technology that will be filed for patent. That will be filed for patent. And Miss Pleasant has only recently taken up the post and discovered that work done at her previous employer, Gypsum Company, is relevant for the project. So the blockchain that will be filed for patent, is this about this company, that is Bismuth, or about Gypsum, the previous employer? Who is going to file for patent? Who is going to file for patent? Yes. So actually, mispresent the chief accountant, deputing here for the blockchain technology that the company wants to patent. Wants to patent. So that's a very important point. And Miss Pleasant has only recently taken up the post and discovered the work done as a previous employee Gypsum is relevant for the project. If Miss Pleasant discloses this information, it will compromise patent across the Gypsum, but will consolidate her position as chief accountant in Bisman company. So for Miss Pleasant, it's a very difficult case. It's very difficult situation practically. What to do? Need to justify my work with current employer, but on the other hand, something about confidentiality related to my previous employer. When she left employment of Gypsum company, she signed a confidentiality agreement. Oh, but clauses are not clear or specific about what information could be shared or with whom. So now it's about something, the high moral matter. It's about, it's what it's not. Number one thing is legal, one thing is ethical, and something it's very difficult to decide with respect to ethical as well. It's actually the inner side of the personality, what the inner side of the personality says, which we says that questions. That's our inner. What our inner says. Anyways, so it's very difficult. So this type of question, examiner not expecting to conclude your exact answer, but you have to make a logical sequence. Miss Pleasant has significant knowledge of blockchain technology, but finance director Mr. Franklin has limited knowledge. Who is Mr. Franklin? Who is Mr. Franklin? Who is Mr. Franklin? Or reply A. Finance director. He is a finance director but has limited knowledge of it or the new business model that Bismuth is trying to develop. He is a key management personnel. He's a finance personality and he don't have enough knowledge about the technology that's going to implement. That is the consent point related to the competency. Limited knowledge here. Question about professional competency. Mr. Franklin has told her, means told to chief accountant that there is no need, told her that no need to spend significant amount of time creating on technology to ethically source material. Okay. Question about question about moral values. Moral values or ethics. They don't have concern. Just putting the data. Either means in the blockchain, you are inputting the data. For example, um, he's the finance director of the Nescafe. And what he told to the chief accountant, just putting the material information with the unethical matter as well. From where you are purchasing a material has no concern. and then print to the customer and convey to the customer that we have purchased the material in this in a right manner. This is totally wrong. Miss Pleasant is worried about Mr. Franklin's lack of technical and legal knowledge, as she feels that it will affect the development of technology. She has a concern that, yes, the due care, moral values, the due care. In addition, some of the data concerning ethical material has gone missing, and she thinks that Mr. Franklin has erased data and tried to storage the project. Sorry, try to sabotage the project. Mr. Franklin has told the board of directors that he has in-depth knowledge of the technology. Wrong statement. Deliberate. Wrong statement. Deliberate wrong statement. Deliberate wrong statement. You are sitting in the examination hall and you have to one of the questions that we discussed previously with the accounting standard and all the things. This question we have already discussed earlier yesterday with IS 36, with IFRS 9, IS 32, but no connection the case. So do remember, nothing is 100% predictable in SBR. You must be ready for any surprise. So I must say one statement quoted by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the founder of Pakistan: always plan for the worst. But what you people normally do, you you don't prepare, you never prepare for the worst. You always prepare for the past paper and pray to the Allah that the paper exactly happened whatever I studied. This is not exam. Exam means you are ready for all the surprises. That is the point. So I am here to provide you the direction towards the right way, how to handle the thing. First thing, get the knowledge. Practice with past paper that how to incorporate the knowledge in these circumstances. That means your intellectual skills become enhanced. Go to the examination hall and apply your experience of your knowledge. Once again, get the knowledge, take the experience to put the knowledge with the exam question by practicing. Go to the examination hall and put up your knowledge and experience whatever you get, whatever you getting experience with the practice sessions with the examination hall. Then you will be able to qualify. This is the right direction. Normally, what you people do, you just you don't have good enough knowledge of the standards or the syllabus area with the imbalance matter. Just focusing IFRS majority time, not focusing other areas of the syllabus, and go to the examination hall with the imbalance aspects. Before the exam, just focusing on revision questions. What you will do? Even you attempt 200 questions without the right strategy, you will not be able to qualify the exam. Now, discuss with ethical issue raised by implementation of the blockchain, both chief accountant and finance director. So ethical issues and appropriate action. But here the action related to the finance director. Ethical issues related to both chief accountants and finance director. And appropriate actions related about finance director towards the chief accountant. I will start to discuss this question with the marking scheme. with the marking scheme, with the marking scheme. But I strongly suggest take a break. First, take a break, a short 5 minutes break. Otherwise, something beyond your control. 5 minutes short break. Take a break. Thank you very much. Okay, class, come on. Last part of the session. And very critical. It's very critical. Come on. Can you please show me your energetic presence? But how do you express your energy in terms of writing on the chat box? That's possible. Hello, are you there? Hello, yes, yes, yes. Different modes. Oh, that's good. That's the way. So you can write your expressions with the energetic way. That's good. That's good. Uh, in the sessions are taking in Pakistan, that's 11 past 7. I mean 11:07 p.m. So, Rakib, you have to energize your mind. That's important. Okay, let's start. Let's start. Inshallah, with respect to your uh, considering your effort, may Allah bless you success. Ameen. Okay, so what examiner says about this particular question? What examiner says? Number one, it's a basic one. Requirement sheet deals with ethical issue raised by knowledge gained at previous employer. Knowledge gained with the previous employer case. This is the point that would compromise the patent obligation, but at the same time consolidate the chief accountant position. So have to balance two things. In addition, chief accountant feel that in addition, another point, finance director has little knowledge of technology, but the director has and told the board to complete deposit. These are the issues. Chief accountant feels that finance director trying to sabotage the blockchain project. Question asks for any ethical issue raised together with appropriate actions. Okay, now these are the important points. Many candidates discussed the difficulties faced by chief accountant and respect which should shown towards the confidentiality of the information required as a result of professional and business relationship. So examiner wanted to say that the chief accountant view about the previous employee matter a student discussed very well. Candidate discussed the nature of ethical concise. Ethical concise means what in a concise means what any human being inner says. Conscience. So conscience of chief accountant and any decision to disclose information. Further, candidates discuss the fundamental principal profession, competence, and due care. Requires accountant to have sufficient training. So professional competence and due care about training or experience to carry out tasks and not intentionally mislead. That is what the requirement about. The first para, that is what about uh, the well answer. But this paragraph is about what what's wrong with the students. Generally, 1 mark is allocated for each well discussed point raised by candidates. So 1 mark for one well discussed point. That's important. If candidates just listed ethical principle without application to the scenario, then maximum of 2 marks would be given. You just list out the ethical principles. You will just get 2 marks. Okay. Marks are allocated as a result of using scenario to demonstrate understanding the issue. So marks are allocated to demonstrate the understanding of demonstrate using the scenario to demonstrate. So means connect with the case. It's a key point. So number one well explained point where identify the ethical issues and connect with the case. And this is what I must say, that is the first point. That is the point number one. That is the point number one. You have to retain for the ethics matter. One 1 mark for well explained point. The point it's not about to jot down the ethical principle, but connect with the case. Moreover, next, the action required by chief accountant is a published answer were more subtle in this question and looked at the act of whistleblowing and issues surrounding such process. Here, examiner says the model answer, it's very direct, it's quick. Go for whistleblowing. Whistleblowing means the issues are very much critical rather than to make a silent strategy. You have to raise the voice loudly, even shouted. But here says that the published answer directly mentioned the subtle. However, if candidate discuss actions such as seeking advice from colleague or ACCA, these were appropriate answer and award credit. Many candidates seems to think that accountants should resign immediately if they meet an ethical dilemma. So this is also right. So it means that the second point here that whatever whatever right whatever right in the model answer, it's not compulsory, it's 100%. Same answer will be acceptable. You can change your answer accordingly, or equivalent marks will be available for all relevant answer. The, the stipulation is that the answer must be relevant. Now, next, the very important part, professional marks were awarded for a realistic discussion for ethical issues, set out the scenario together with sensible and appropriate actions. Whatever I was saying since the start of the session, set out the scenario with the sensible and appropriate actions. Most candidates identified key ethical issues in the scenario and achieved good marks, but fear were able to suggest reasonable actions to resolve the solutions. So what's the important point? Identify the key ethical issue with the relevant action point, you will get professional marks. How to get professional marks? Professional marks here means professional marks. Identify the most relevant ethical issue with supportive action point. If I say here in this case, the issue is about the issue is about professional competence, due care, objectivity, multiple issues. The issues are very severe here. So action, it's not support if I mention resign over there. The most appropriate action it's here as a professional accountant is to raise the voice rather than just to resign. What do you say? Am I right? Can you please reply me? You can disagree. So put your efforts for the professional marks to identify most relevant ethical and with supportive action. Okay. Furthermore, that is the very important. Another important. That is don'ts. What candidates, some candidates simply cut and paste large section of exhibit and then stated this is an ethical issue. This action will attract no marks. Can if you feel that I just picked the issue and put up accordingly, you will get no marks. Candidates have been sensible when using cut and paste tool. Means you allow cut and paste, but only to support your answer or to extend answer, make comment accordingly. Any examination would not reward candidates simply repeating the question back to the examiner. Examiner asks to you question, and what you are doing, you copy paste the same question and ask again to the examiner. If candidates wish to use cut and paste, then its use should be restricted to the part of sentence that are relevant, and they should not add own comments. They should add own comments. And in this case, this question, appropriate actions. For example, copy paste the situation and then with this case, the issue of the ethics are this, and then action accordingly. It is very easy for marker to recognize answer that have been cut pasted. What is the meaning of the last line? What is the meaning of the last line? Examiner is not foolish. The marker is not foolish. That's a key point. So this is what eye-opening matter for you. Number one, the most important thing, the very important point. How to write the answer. Take up the point. 1 mark for well-explained point, but it's not only about the principle, but also the application. Number one, it's not compulsory that only the published answer, it's it's the exact answer. You can develop your answer with the sequence manner. Identify the things with the suggested with the solution action points. Professional marks, it's about discuss, we have discussed that, identified and the most relevant action point, and about the copy paste. Number one, based on this, the very important point, time management. Time management. 10 marks, you have 18 minutes. 5 minutes at least for plan. Your planning, you have to make plan. Have to make plan. Your planning area, it's very good. What to write? 13 minutes for writing. First of all, before attacking, you have to identify what points I will write. So you have to develop your mind or write it on the scratch card. Confidentiality, competency, action. Action, not necessarily direct whistleblowing, like action support by discussion with the another management part, coordinate with ACCA body, then followed by whistleblowing, and then professional marks. Candidates, these are the points. I have just a little bit craft the things. Like the first point, this is what you planned now, that I will write this one. So you must have to stick with the plan. First, I will take up the point of confidentiality. Confidentiality. Start the answer. Is in a difficult position regard to information gained as previous employers. I have a question with you. With this question, can we copy paste the standard solution that's been drafted previously? That financial statement is actually about the user of the financial statement that must be paid for this matter. No, use your, we are human being. We are not like a person to copy paste all the things according. That's the point. In general, so number one, Miss Pleasant is difficult position. She should respect the confidentiality of the information. At one point, respect the confidentiality acquired as a result of professional and business relations. Therefore, first of all, you have to make a complete sentence about the confidentiality. It's very important, and not to disclose any information to third party unless there is a legal or professional right. In addition, she should not use information for personal advantage. That's for the self-interest. Number one. However, now using some diplomacy. However, the nature of confidentiality agreement with the previous employer is relevant here. Do you agree that? Now you are changing your aspect. Confidentiality is very important. But the nature of the confidential agreement is important here. Because your justification of job with the current employer is also ethical responsibility. So this agreement may have been in order to protect commercially sensitive information. Although this agreement for the sake of commercial sensitive information to prevent her sharing information this way. If agreement is not clear or specific, then it will be left to the ethical consents. Coincides. Coincides means inner feelings. It's total depend on the inner feeling or personal decision of the chief accountant whether to disclose or not. But the purpose of agreement is to prevent the disclosure of this type of information. Chief accountant ethical conscience should prevail and also consider the legal binding. It's not necessary to write all the things, but have to cover the flow of the question. What is the flow? Flow is that first of all we have to work out with this matter about the confidentiality. No doubt about that, confidentiality is a key factor not to disclose third party unless the legal matter. But here the case, the nature of the agreement. and either to disclose the things with the current employer, it's total conscience of the mispresent. That's the point. Number two, the another point that is for finance director matter, professional competence. That is the answer of the professional competence. What the answer? What the sequence? In the business, opportunities, challenges presented by technology and new business models require an evolving level of digital literacy by the accountant. You can rearrange the wordings in the real, for example, in a real ever dynamic business environment. Accountant need to develop their competence or literacy. That is called professional competence. That is our ethical responsibility. Accountant should provide relevant decision useful analysis to ensure the right technology application to adopt the best interest of the business. New business model present opportunity for professional accountant to provide relevant advice to regulatory matters. This is what about all the things about the professional competence. You can rearrange the words no matter it is. For example, this is for 3 marks. So one complete marks, what if it's the first, this 2 paragraph, it's about importance of professional competence. Initially, the importance of competence. Then this developing requires growing set of competence. The competence relate to not financial matters, but social impact, assessment, environmental accounting, and other non-financial capital matters. What I personally think, it's too much importance of PC, professional competence. You can just take 2 paragraph or your by wordings. Here the case, that is very much important, the case. Mr. Franklin, obviously not aware of the importance of environmentally aware as told by the chief accountant, and not to worry about ethical source material data. That is about the case. Professional accountant need to expand competence. Now action point. This is what action point. Start action. Need to expend 2 actions here. Number 1, professional accountant. Number 2, the chief accountant. Finance director and chief accountant need to expand competency for the digital and social awareness. All these, this, I'm not reading this one. Professional competence and misleading employers. Action. And what about the action related to? Action related to chief accountant. Here, the model answer only discuss whistleblowing. But what we read here, the green one, the action required by accountant published answer were more subtle, means more specific, and looked at act of whistleblowing and issues surrounding such as process. However, if candidate discuss actions seeking advice from colleague or assistant, then for appropriate answer. That were appropriate answer. What model answer says? Mispresence, difficult position, regard competence, and sabotage project by Mr. Franklin as act as whistleblowing can cause conflict of interest between personal organization and society efforts. Means now they are discussing about whistleblower. Read first this point. Wait a minute. Last 1 minute. Last 1 minute. Very important. This is very important for you people how to write the answer. Read this one first. The chief accountant could be viewed as someone sharing knowledge of misconduct for benefits of others, or someone who is acting disloyal to their superior. Mr. Pleasant will be torn between loyalty and her moral commitment. Last one. As long as her motivation sound, she is confident in the system and knowledge. She should not hesitate to rely such information in helping to create environmentally aware project which will enhance company business. Candidates, what I mean to say that, or what the solution is, the action point is whistleblowing. So what the plus versus minus, or I can say that what the challenge faced by chief accountant as whistleblower. But on the other hand, what motivation for chief accountant as whistleblower? That is what examiner, oh sorry, model answer is that. If Miss Pleasant go for the whistleblowing, so what says? She is in a difficult position as regard to competence and sabotage of the project by Mr. Franklin. As an act of whistleblowing can conflict between personal, organizational, and societal spheres. Because normally, whoever is a whistleblower, initially they face very challenges. Whistleblower against the finance director, so personal rift. She is new in the company, so rift with the lobby of the uh, finance director. That's overall organization, and society also initially blames to them. This conflict stems from the way in which whistleblower is viewed. Number two, chief accountant could be viewed as someone, maybe possible. People feel that someone sharing information of misconduct for benefit of others and someone who is acting disloyal to the superior. Miss Pleasant will be torn in this case. They are very much worried between loyalty, either silent and loyal to Mr. Franklin, or her moral commitment. But what are the motivation factors? As long as her motivation are sound, she is confident in the system, her knowledge, she should not hesitate to relay, or she should not hesitate to such information to prove herself that she's helping to create environmentally aware project which will enhance the company's business. This is what about the model answer. I know that this is very difficult. Sir, how it's possible to write it? That's why I always says to my student, some of the question of SBR is like a newspaper. You just read it and absorb that, okay, this is my knowledge. We are getting experience over there, and we will go to the examination facing something different and apply our experience over there. So the SBR preparation, it's not about 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. It's about getting the knowledge from the exam paper, from the regular studies, then apply the things with exam question. Exam question. At last, I must say one thing. Do remember, do remember, if you wanted to grow any 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 part of your life, always remember growth in this manner. Somewhere you will up, somewhere you down, then up, then down. But the important thing is that the graph is moving towards. If someone says that I wanted to grow in this manner, this straight line is not life. You know, in the medical term, we use a term called vitals. Vitals. If vitals is straight, it means death. This is life. Life means sometimes we will up, something down, up, down. And inshallah, this will be the part of exam success. So what do you say? How was the today's session? That's over. Uzefa, we will discuss about the current matters at the last day. Yes, yes, it's also realistic. That is the point. That's the point. Inshallah, we will meet tomorrow. We will meet tomorrow. How to handle the performance measurement aspect. The theme of the session is about SBR 360. SBR 360. The theme of the session is about SBR 360. We are discussing the SBR not specific to IFRS, but multi-dimensional matter. Do you agree that if we mention the name, the sessions, if I mention the theme of the session SBR 360, is this, am I justifying the term SBR 360? Am I justifying? That's really appreciate. I will appreciate that if you share me your constructive feedback on the WhatsApp group. That's I would really appreciate about it. You don't need very in-depth knowledge of the syllabus. Good enough knowledge of the syllabus, and then apply the things with the exam questions. That's all. ACC management, can you please share once again the WhatsApp group link? Thank you very much. And also share the Vimeo link. Yes, writing of the resignation is also option. Okay, just join the sessions accordingly. We will actually, the purpose of the WhatsApp group is to share you the material during 5 days. Afterward, you will start discussion because I've particularly restricted to sending the message because normally the WhatsApp group uh, used for the marketing purpose only rather than for the discussion. We will start to make discussion after the uh, 5 days sessions. Don't worry. Jazakallah khair. Okay, thank you very much. We will meet on tomorrow. Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. Take care a lot. Assalamu alaikum.